Hello, we're here live once again. Yeah, I put that too low. I don't know. Is that kind of bothering me, that light up there? Let me see. Hopefully that's better. That better? Yeah, it looks like it's better. Anyway, hi everybody. Whew, we are live. Haven't been here in a minute. I guess 8 days. Last time I reported or got on here. I finally tuned my guitar. Oops. Well, okay. I think I did that wrong. When I have light creeping in and throwing it off. There we go. Well, just a little bit off, right? That really does do a number, don't it? Oh, I haven't before. I don't even know, bro. Let me see here. Okay, I think that's good. That good? Yeah, that's good. Well, it's a little bright down there, but not as. Okay, so I guess I did it kind of wrong. Oh well. Let's give you a little. Let's see the blast light here. It might look a little better. Yeah, kind of offsets a little bit. Anyway, so here we go. This is the learning. I finally got a tune. Finally got it. Sounds good. It's so funny because I took me a minute to tune it, but I could tell that it was untuned when I was going to play before. I could probably write a song out of that, believe it or not. Anyway, um, anyway, that's what I'm learning. So practice. I got to go to work at 1 today, and I'll be up early, so I'm going to hit it up again. Also, uh, anyway, how's everybody doing out there? I I'm myself amazed at the little things that God pays attention to. Just even the minute, small stuff. Just it blows my mind. It really blows my mind. Um, Honestly, let me give you an example. Okay, I'm gonna bring this over a little bit. It's gonna brighten up a little bit, and I do apologize for that. But check this out. Being the age that I am, my eyesight isn't as used to be. And I apologize for the brightness of it. I'll turn this off that way you can see. Anyway, um, I do beadwork. I do a lot of artwork, and this is a micro or a, if you will, magnifier with a light on it. And I needed one of those. So I prayed about it. I said, Lord, I'd like to have one of those. I need it. I bought another lamp over here. This is another lamp that I have. I can't move it because if I move it, I got to readjust it. And I won't do that. But it's got a little thing on it. I had one at my house over in Spokane. And I needed another one. And I found that. But then I found this one. And it's just the small stuff that God does. It's the small things that God does to, just small stuff. Small stuff. Got a desk, I can sit at. I always call this my office. It's my bedroom, but I don't really sleep in here. It's my bedroom. It's my office now. I've got a few things in here. Um, got to get rolling. Got to get rolling. Just. I read it somewhere, and I believe it's in Psalms or Proverbs. To make use of your time. Purpose. It said. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, let's do that. Let's make it that way, purposeful, if you will. make it a purpose, if you will. Make it something interesting. So we were talking about the two witnesses last time I was on. We were actually talking about the two witnesses, and um, it's just phenomenal what God, like the guitar, even the guitar right here. I'm gonna play, and I'm gonna sing. Period. That's just the way it is. I got my artwork still coming along. I don't know if it improved last time you seen it, but it's coming. People get amazed by it. Just to give you some of the drawbacks, okay, that it's not, um, excuse me, that it's not hunky dory, you know, because I go to work every day and I have a good attitude every single day. I do, you know, and it's not me, because I would do that, quelling stuff down and covering it with a smile. No, I truly enjoy life. I really, really, really do. I don't know if I was born with it. I don't know if it came naturally. I don't know if I learned it. I don't know what. If it came from my parents, both maybe. My mom and I don't know. I just know that I really love life. I really do. And don't get me wrong, I'm going through some stuff. I mean, some stuff, man. Stuff that makes you want to run and hide. Stuff that makes you want to, throw your arms in the air and say, heck with it, you know. But God always takes care of things. God always takes care of stuff. None of my business in that respect. All I can do is, be here. All I can do is, if you will, share what God does. That's all I can do. I can't do anything else. Anyway, I want to get into resurrection because, again, um, it's coming up, Easter, as they call it. You know, they always show the beat up Jesus. They always show the beat up Jesus. Every time churches go through and rip him up and they exemplify this. They make it untouchable. That's what religion does. They'll tell you stories about Peter being crucified upside down. They'll tell you stories about people being boiled in oil. They'll tell you stories. All these things they tell you to make it untouchable, like the Wizard of Oz. What's behind the curtain? They try to make God that way. You know. Of course, that's where Wizard of Oz got his idea, was the curtain that was at the temple. You know, that no one could go into but the high priest. You know, and it's not that way anymore. Hapasi, excuse me. It's not that way anymore. It is not that way at all anymore. In any way, shape, or form, it's not that way. I'm going to tell you right now. They even have it in churches. You got the pews. The setup is the same way. The one behind the curtain. You've got the pews. Of course, you got the door first. You got the door. Let's do it like this. You got the building, and it's like kind of like as you inch closer. You got the doors. You got the pews. Then you got that space between the pews and the pulpit. You got that little space between that. Well, the larger space between the pews, and then you got the altar sometimes. Then you got that little space between the altars and the pew, or excuse me, the pulpit. Then you got the pulpit and you got the guy behind the pulpit. And that's the guy that everybody is trying to attain to, or trying to understand, or trying to be, or trying to hear, and all that stuff. And they make themselves that way, you see. And that's not the case in any way, shape, or form. That's not the case. Okay. What God, I'll say it like this: God was not at the time before He sent His Son, before His Son was born in the flesh. God was not in heaven looking down and thinking, "Oh, gee, that looks pretty bad." Like most of us do, because we do. I could walk down this street. I could go next door, like even here, next door to my apartment. I heard a lady screaming, you know, and I called 911. I did. I ain't gonna lie, I did. And if they asked me, I did. I'll tell them, yeah. What you doing hitting a woman, or whatever you were doing. You know, over here they were doing that just the other night. You know what I mean? So I'm telling you, I could, just go into and say, "Ooh, that's pretty bad." It's not like that here, that kind of stuff. I could walk down the street and I could see people that look like zombies. I mean, literal zombies, smoking on foil and little pipes that they have, pills and whatnot, and the way they look. And I could say, dude, yuck. And I do, not right. It's not right because that's who he came. I'm going to say it. That's who he came for. Now, I know the religion realm will say, well, it's up to them. It's up to them if they want to do it or not. It's up to them if they want to partake or not. And that's not the case. I'm sorry, but that's not. And I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you right now, I just got done reading Jeremiah. Holy cow. I used to be so mad at the Jews, not Jews pertaining to Jews, but the ones that were in the I don't want to say book because it's not very big, but I'll say it, Jeremiah. The writings of Jeremiah, I was mad at those guys, and I couldn't wait for Nebuchadnezzar to come in and take them. And then I never understood why Jeremiah was upset after they were taken. You know, I never did. I used to think, get those suckers, man. They didn't listen. You know, that's on them. Bastards. Honestly, that's how I thought. I couldn't wait to get to, because, it seemed, and I'm going to get to resurrection. Give me a second. It seemed uh, vain. Like even Jeremiah said it himself. Jeremiah said, I'm in derision daily. Everyone mocketh me. Um, the word of the Lord was made a reproach unto me. That's what he said. That's what Jeremiah said. I will not mention his name anymore. I will not make mention of him. But then when he said that, his word was like a fire shut up in my bones, and I could not stay. We wrote a song about that. My wife and I. We wrote a song about that. The chorus goes, but his word in my heart, yes, his word in my heart. It's a burning fire shut up in my bones. Though man may rise against me and the devil tempt me sore, still his word is a fire shut up in my bones. We wrote that. And we wrote a song anyway. Anyway. Um, Jeremiah said, heck with it. I don't want to do. I'm just going through with me reading Jeremiah. Where am I at? 13 minutes. Okay. And he's there, and he don't want to do it. And I read through, and I could see, him telling them, and of course he told them, let go of your slaves, and they did, but then they got him back. And of course you had other prophets come in and say, no, this ain't gonna happen because God told Jeremiah to make a yoke out of wood, and he did, and he put it on himself, and he told him, this is what the king of Babylon is going to do to you. He's going to put you in a yoke, and he's going to take you away. And one of the prophets came and shattered the yoke and put Jeremiah in prison. They put him in mire. They put in filth, in a pit, up to here. They put him in there, and here all he's doing is saying what God told him to do. And of course, the back of my head is, man, I can't wait for those suckers to get taken over by Nebuchadnezzar. This time around, as I'm reading it, I felt sad for them, just like him in Lamentations when he wrote Lamentations. I felt sad for them, for Israel. I felt really, really sad for them. I felt bad for them because they were taken captive. Even it talked about the Zedekiah the king. They ripped his eyes out, pulled his eyes out, and put him in the prison. You know, sad. Anyway, I'm reading this stuff, and it's shocking. You know, the what I see now pertaining to that. You know, what I see now pertaining to how Israel acted and how Israel became what they were. You know, sad, 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 sad. Anyway, going back to this now. So after reading Jeremiah, after reading, you know, that, I'm going to get into Lamentations, I believe. Now, I'm reading Isaiah as well, and it's the same scenario. It's Israel being taken captive. Israel, you know, just basically, you know, I mean, it was sad. If you ever read it or never read it, it's pretty sad. Their walls were torn down. The temple was burnt up. The city was burned to the ground, literally destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar. You know. Anyway, pretty good, pretty darn good stories there. And they were taken captive. They were taken over. You know, they were taken, if you will, over by them. Okay, so now I still got to do my taxes. I look at the things that God does. You know, like I've got stuff, if you will. I've got things that I acquired, some of it for free. This desk I got for free. The table that my computer sits on, I got for free. Um, some things I had to purchase, but not a big price on them. You know, I've always liked antiques. I've always liked antiques. I have. And I got one of these. I got to buy the mirror for it, but I got one of these oak dressers with a big key lock in it that you can use the key to lock it. You know, and it's nice. I like it. It's nice. Got an old sewing machine, a couple of old sewing machines. Antiques. Got some old speakers that I have. Antiques. I might get a record player. I don't know yet. You know, just stuff that was acquired. Oh wow! I don't know how that happened. My thing came unplugged. Excuse me a moment. Oh boy, I tell you, it came unplugged. I can't believe it. Okay, give me a second here. I gotta go under here and plug it back in. Let's see here. And then I probably gotta turn it back on too. Which I do think I have. Oops. Okay. Sorry about that. Technical difficulty. My computer's still working. Just I got my computer hooked up to a projector, so it shows it on the wall. There it goes. It's back on. Yay. Okay. Okay. So going back to this now. Oh, forgot about my coffee. So they say Good Friday is coming up. That's what they call it. Good Friday. You know, the arrest of Jesus Christ. Well, let's go through it. Let's look at it real fast here. Let's look at it. I'm going to use this. Well, I can use my, I don't want no too bright of lights on here. I'm going to use my readers. They magnify pretty good. Okay. Well, let's see if I can wipe them up a little bit. Okay. So, there's four different. Well, let's look. This is the older Bible that I had. All right. So we have where, let's look at that. Let's look at that. Uh, uh, okay, so let's look at. We'll start at Matthew 21, verse 1. And when they drew nigh unto Jerusalem and were come to Bethphage unto the Mount of Olives, then sent Jesus two of his two disciples, saying unto them, Go into the village over against you, and straightway you shall find an ass tied, and a colt with her. Loose them and bring them unto me. And if any man say aught unto you, you shall say, The Lord hath need of them, and straightway he will send them. And this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet, saying, Tell you the daughter of Zion, behold, thy king cometh unto thee meek and sitting upon an ass, and a colt, the foal of an ass. And again, it's not what everybody expected. That's what's shocking. It's not what everyone expects. It's not what everyone wants. You know what I mean? Like even today, people want to be champions. They want to be the head and not the tail. They want to be, triumphant. Nobody's going to mess with us. Nobody's going to, And if you look in the world today, there's a lot going on. I mean, there is a lot going on. A lot. Everybody wants to be the head, the top, numero uno, the king, the main dude, everybody does. I wanted to be at one time. Greatest preacher, greatest artist, greatest this, Anyway, and you got not what everybody expected. It contradicted what everybody was used to. Everybody's focus. Oh, I'm going to give you an example. Give you a little example here. Okay, when I would draw pictures, when I was a kid, a little guy, and it's so funny that it only was because it was the first 5 years of my life on Earth, and we lived in Los Angeles, California. And because of the smog, which I didn't realize at the time, I've heard of it now as I got older, but then I looked at it and went, wait a minute. Everything was orange. The sun was orange. Everything was orange because of the smog in California. Crazy. And so I looked at the sun as orange. That's the way I saw the sun. Orange or yellow, either one of those two. And that's how I was programmed. So when I got older, I still saw everything that way. Honestly, living here in Washington, I don't know how I did it, but I wouldn't see it as, now I see it. It's like white, a white color, white, if you will, white light. And I look and I think, this is not really orange. It looks different to me, way different than what I saw as a kid. But I was programmed so well in that it didn't matter what it was. I saw what I saw because I was programmed to see it the way I remember rather than what it is. And that's how it is with teachings today, with religion, with stuff we hear. We're told a certain way and we gear towards that way. And it was that way in Jesus' time as well. Because, everyone looked to the priest, the Sabbath, the priest, the hierarchy, the priesthood, the Sanhedrin, the Pharisees, the Sadducees. That's how they looked to them. They didn't see anyone else. They were afraid of them. They were afraid of them. They were, they highly revered them. They highly, if you will, respect. I mean, in the dark, don't get me wrong. Inside, they'd be like, yeah, we know what those guys are up to. We know what they're about. But they wouldn't say it out loud, you know. And so they didn't expect this Messiah in this manner. They didn't expect him that way. They didn't, and you can read it for yourself in there. Well, we'll read it, but that's what they expected it to be. They were programmed for thousands of years to look in this certain way, just like us today. You know, if you say church, there's characteristics that are involved that you will go and, say what it is: building, people, music, prayer, reading of scriptures, Sunday, you know, parking lot, nice dressed, um, giving money, programs, all this stuff involved in that, and that's the way it is because we're programmed that way, you know. Anyway, let me read this now. So here comes Jesus, and here's what it says. The prophet says this: "Thy king cometh unto thee meek and sitting upon an ass, and a colt the foal of an ass. And the disciples went and did as Jesus commanded them, and brought the ass and the colt, and put on them their clothes, and they set him thereon." So they put Jesus on this ass, if you will, and brought the ass. Oh, excuse me. And a very great multitude spread their garments in the way. Others cut down branches from the trees and strawed them in the ways. You'll have people do that today. You'll have people get the ferns or the fawns, the leaves of it, if you will, palm leaves, and act like, oh, we're doing this. And the multitude that went before and that followed cried, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. And when he was coming to Jerusalem, all the city was moved, saying, Who is this? Notice that. All the city was moved, saying, Who is this? And the multitude said, This is Jesus, the prophet of Nazareth of Galilee. That's what their limited belief process was. He's just that prophet. He's that guy that's standing out. He's that guy that, I've heard stories. Some would say that. Some would say, well, he healed me, or he healed one of my relatives, things like this. And Jesus went into the temple of God and cast out all that sold and bought in the temple, and over to the tables of the money changers and the seats of them that sold doves. And that's what he did. He beat them. The Bible talks about how he made a cord, and it's in John, a cord of rope, like a whip. And he was upset about it. And he had every reason to be. He had every reason to be upset about it. Every reason. Because they would sell the offering to people. Okay. Let me give you an example. All right. So, because people are very superstitious. I mean, people are really superstitious. Even in this day and age, they're superstitious. If you go to church for a while, before you know it, if you don't go, you feel guilty. Why? Why would you feel guilty? Or the opposite is you really turn against it. You really hate it now. There's some out there in that respect. And so here, people religiously go to the Jerusalem at the feast time, to the temple, if you will. That's where they would go. And when they would go to Jerusalem, when they would go to when they would go to they would bring their animals, maybe their daughter was sick, maybe their son was sick, maybe a relative was sick, something in that respect. They would bring their little dove or whatever it is they needed. And because the journey was so long and some of those families were poor, they would travel and travel. And who knows, and on their way there, a wild animal got the dove. The dove died on the way, so they didn't have anything to offer. Well, those guys would be there. Oh, huh. Your daughter said, oh, you lost. Well, guess what? It's 4 times the price now. It's 4 times the price of what you want. Or you can't afford it. Well, you got a son there. We need a slave. Let's trade. And I know, because everybody thinks of slavery when it comes to the Black or African American people of this nation, taboo of slavery. But you think about it this way: having to do so. I hear of people working 3 jobs just to keep an apartment, just to keep a house, just to keep a car, just to keep food on the table. If that's not slavery, I don't know what is. Serious. I remember we were kids, and our dad was so mean, we were afraid. So anytime we'd catch each other doing something wrong, to not be told on, one of us would say, well, I'll be your slave for a week. We would say that. I'll be your slave for a week. Don't tell on me. Oh, you're going to be my slave. Huh. And it wasn't even that we got each other to do stuff, but it was just the idea of being over somebody. Weird. I experienced that. I'm going to give you an example, like what I'm going through right now. And I hate it. I wanted to walk off my job yesterday. I did. I was going to say, screw you. There's another job I see. I'll go get it. And I used to do that a lot. I did. I'm not going to lie. I used to say, screw you and your freaking job. And I'd walk off, worry about my next paycheck next time. I'll get a job somewhere else. You know what I mean? But I was promised a job which would have given me medical, dental, all that. And I need all that. More pay, a secure environment, full time, all that stuff. And it was taken from me, Then they gave it to someone else under the pretense of another job. They were shifty about it, where I worked. And I got upset. I'm upset right now. But again, getting down to it, if God didn't want it to be in that respect that way, it wouldn't be that way. And I'm not going to say I'm going to look for the good in it. And I'm not going to say, smile through your problems and all that junk. I'm not going to say that. Okay, because it stings. Because I busted my tails for these guys. I deserve that job. There hasn't been a time when I like even in North Dakota before I got back here, I got a full-time supervisory position job, and I ended up leaving that to come back here. And now I think, no, but see, I can't do that because I prayed before I came here. I prayed before anything, and now I'm here, and I'm in this job. Now there's another job that's more my avenue, and I'm going to go check it out. But I prayed before I do it. I just didn't walk off this job like I usually do, and I hate it. I'm going to go back there at 1 today, and I hate it. I hate this stinking job. And I don't do much. I just stand around, greet people, and make sure nobody steals anything. I mean, it's not a big thing. I'm not doing much. The other position I would have been busting my tail, but I'm good at busting my tail. I like that. I like sweating. I like getting in there and getting to the nitty gritty, and that stinks. There's prayers that I've been praying for quite some time. There's things that I've been telling God, that's near to my heart. That's over me. That's just killing me. I'll tell you straight up. Turmoil, pressure, pain, heartache, all that, you know. But like I shared with you, if God didn't want it to be in that condition, it wouldn't be in that condition, you know. I like the way Paul shared it when Paul said, I'm almost done, so it's coming up to half an hour. When Paul said, without were fightings, within were fears. We were pressed out of measure, in so much that we were despaired even of life. But we had the sentence of death in ourselves, not to trust in ourselves, but in God which raises the dead. All right, let me go back to this now. Okay. And he threw him out. Okay, so that's what he did. And they do that today. They tell you to give money to them and you'll get your prayer answered or you'll get your healing. And no, you don't get a healing because you give money, you know, or whatever it is you ask of God, because it's freely given to you. That we might know the things that are freely given to us of God. That's what it says in Corinthians. Period. Okay. And he said unto them, it is written, my house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves. And the reason it's a den of thieves is because it wasn't theirs. The sacrificing, the offering of the animals, the temple was not theirs. It's God's. Period. And that's what they were violating. It's God's, period. It's not theirs. And that's what they're stealing. You know, just like sharing this word with you. It's not mine, it's his. But it's yours too. Because he gives it to you. It's right here in front of us. We can read it ourselves. It's not that hard. And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. And when the chief priests and scribes saw the wonderful things that he did, and the children crying in the temple and saying, Hosanna to the Son of David, they were sore displeased. And they said unto him, hearest thou not what these say? And Jesus said unto them, yea, have you never read, out of the mouth of babes and sucklings thou hast perfected praise? And he left them and went out of the city to Bethany, and he lodged there. This is something that wasn't ever done. They got the praise. They got the reverence. And all of a sudden, this guy comes from left field who doesn't fit into what they've been teaching, who doesn't fit what people are used to, who doesn't fit the habitual church-related ideas. Here he comes out of nowhere and destroys that, and it makes them uncomfortable. And when he saw, now in the morning as he returned to the city, he hungered. Now, I'm going to stop pretty soon because I think I went over a little bit. I'll get into this later. Yeah, I'm at 40 minutes. Okay. Anyway, we'll get into some more. I'm going to get into this by this thing right here. I think it's in another scripture too. But just keep me in your prayers. I'm requesting things from God and agree with me if you will. I'll post more later, maybe tonight when I get off work. I don't feel like it. Honestly, I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to, don't. But what does Paul say? Woe is me if I preach not the gospel. He said, if against my will, then the dispensation of the gospel is laid onto me. But we'll get in there. So thanks for listening. God bless. We'll talk to you later. And